Session review.
Hello and welcome everyone to another session review. I could not be bothered up to that screen. Moving into it, let's now review the item that was received after our Valiant team defeated the Eel Wizard. The Nan-infused Eel Ring was obtained. This was at some point taken off the Eel Wizard's body. The team was supposed to decapitate him and bring his head, but we'll say at least this came, and plus we'll get into more interesting things of what they did. But as our good friend Inu Tawagoto had his rats search the wizard, they found the eel ring. So the eel ring can be used once per long rest to essentially create an eel similar to the one the eel wizard had. That eel will be able to attack people, restrain them, and then also deal necrotic damage as it restrains them. It will also leech health from them and give it to the user. And additionally, having this ring on and being attuned to it will allow the user to breathe underwater and also swim at the same speed as they walk. So make them be more adept to be in water. So interesting. Not abilities the eel wizard used, which I kind of wished it was, but I still think it's an interesting thing. See if anyone's interested in using it, and we'll see where it goes. But now the real meat and potatoes of this session. It is time to get into what happened in the session. So, as you all may remember, at the end of the previous session, I actually don't think I described it. There wasn't a video about it. So, the team fought the Eel Wizard. The team, after going back and forth and defeating all of his goonies in a 3-hour set of combats, defeated the Eel Wizard. The Eel Wizard was done and dusted and got cooked. But as the Eel Wizard was defeated, Flora here, one of the fairies that Shrek warned the team about, showed her face as she was coming to collect a debt from the Eel Wizard, as the Eel Wizard lives in her forest and therefore must pay homage to her and her sisters. Flora's having a nice conversation with Bunny when, out of nowhere, Diogen, who is listening to her thoughts, hears that she has some bad voices in the back of her head and convinces Cruel Wrench to fire an Eldritch Blast at Flora. This is quite an interesting turn of events, to say the least, and it ends up in a crazy fit of anger where Flora uses all of her Nen powers to essentially have vines come out of her hands, which she uses to restrain and take hold of Diogen and Cruel Wrench. And additionally, she uses these vines to restrain everyone else in the team that's on the ground, leading only Bunny to be the one that has any form of ability to move. After this is done, the team then Flora begins to run away. Bunny uses her spell slot that she had left after the 2 battles we've been in to use Hold Person on Flora, who is unable to avoid the attack, meaning that as long as Bunny holds concentration, Flora is unable to move for 1 minute. I then gave the team out of game 20 minutes to talk about what they wanted to do with that 1 minute. And we went into 3 camps of thought: murder, torture, or attempt to talk to her. I don't even know if that was really the option. But eventually I gave them an ultimatum, and they decided to, as they normally don't do, actually try to roll things to learn about the situation instead of just coming up with things off the top of their heads. And they learned that there is an outside Nen source inside Flora's head. Diogen specifically learns this when going up to Flora and looking at her right before the spell breaks. Diogen learns that there is an other form of Nen inside of her head that may be controlling her with the thoughts that only he can listen to. So it's a very interesting scenario where everyone else's characters are completely unaware of what's going on, but Diogen is very aware of what he has to do. Somehow he must convince her to trust him so that he can remove the Nen. And obviously, as a bard, his first idea is to have sex with her. So after some pretty goated flirting, I think he rolled 20 or 24 post his positives, and essentially floored her with some nice jokes. He even got to hold her, put his arm around her, getting a little closer and learning specifically where the Nen is, and understanding his mission was clear. He started walking, and the rest of the team kind of walked behind him as they went back to Shrek's place, as Puss in Boots suggested it. He also suggested that Diogen and everyone else stop talking about Flora's father. The conversations of Flora's father is what made her angry in the first place, as she believed when Cruel Wrench attacked her, the Cruel Wrench was the person that killed her father. So as long as no one brings that up, Puss in Boots tells the team that they think everything's going to be okay as long as no one talks about her father, and we just let Diogen do whatever he's doing, because Diogen is able to essentially have the fairy be under his arm, so to speak, as she has never been swooned by such a man, and he is extremely good at doing just that. Eventually, the team gets back to Shrek's place. They go to Shrek's humble abode, and Shrek is absurd, very flabbergasted to see that this is what happened. Shrek is telling them that, wow, I can't believe Flora is now here. And Diogen and Flora essentially say a little bit. Everyone talks slightly. There's a few, hi everyone, how's it going? And Diogen convinces Flora to come with him inside of Shrek's house. They go in alone. Shrek, Puss, and the team, the rest of the team, talk about what's going on, what should we do. And as they try to walk in a few minutes later, after Diogen is getting very close and personal with Flora, they start having intercourse, as you do. So the team lets them leave. They get to do what they're doing. It is such a great performance, as we saw from our roles, that Flora is exhausted, falls asleep on Diogen's chest, and then Diogen is able to use his Nen to remove the hostile Nen inside of Flora's brain. He then declares, which I thought was pretty good, 1 down, 2 to go, and he is on his mission to help the rest of the fairy sisters. So, interesting session for sure. I thought it was crazy. They didn't murder Flora, as I kind of believe they would, but end it all in a great way. They have figured out what is going on. They don't know who has this Nen device, who controls it, or what they want with these girls. All they do know is that if they're going to want to free them, they're going to have to get this Nen out of their head. So that is how the session ends. And on the next one, we will see what the plan is. They're going to be talking with Flora, and they're going to potentially be going to find her sisters to help them in any way that they can. So great stuff all together in this session. Also, in the next session, I hope to go back to this deal with the devils. It has been months, I swear to God, but there are repercussions for these actions, which, again, I will also like to read. These are for no reason. I don't know why Cruel Wrench made a deal with 2 devils, but we're going to get to it coming up in the next session, which will be after Thanksgiving. So sorry, but still hope this video finds you well, and I hope that you can try to watch this to remember what the hell happened last time. Have a great one. Thanks for playing.